Welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report, live for the next half hour. Join us as we provide you with all the scores, news, and updates to everything Franklin County sports. And now, here's your host, Bobby C.
Hello and welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. I hope everything's going well for you this week. Remember last week? I had this shirt on and I went like this. Look at the B! As the Red Sox knocked off the New York Yankees. Well, guess what? Last night, they knocked off the Tampa Bay Rays, now going to the American League Championship Series for an opportunity to go to yet another World Series. So congratulations to the Sox. Well, we know every year we always get together with you folks and we talk each season about local sports, and that's exactly what we're doing here today on our show. I want to say thank you to Manny's on River Street in Greenfield and Route 9 in Hadley. You want the best in appliances? It's Manny's TV and Appliance. Also by Franklin First Federal Credit Union. If you're a regular resident of Franklin County, you could be a member of Franklin First Federal Credit Union. That's at franklinfirst.org. And by Lisa Alber of Alber Hearing Services, our local audiologist for just about 30 years. Yep, she's online, alberhearing.com if you're having trouble hearing, alberhearing.com. Let's get right to the show here today. I want to let you know that last Monday, back on October 4th, we want to let you know that the Franklin County Tech knocked off Pioneer in girls volleyball. Final was 3-0. Franklin County Tech's volleyball team continues to do pretty decent this year. Lillian Poirier was the problem all over the court when it came to how well the Eagles were playing. She had a pair of aces and kills, and she was able to do well with some digs and even 7 assists to help her team. Leah Chapman, well, she smacked 5 kills, an ace, and she came up with a dig. Nice opportunity for them to walk away with the win. KK Launder, she led Pioneer with 2 aces and 3 kills. Oceana Duclos ended up with a couple of kills as well for Pioneer. Well, Turner's Falls continued their undefeated season so far when it comes to how well that volleyball team has played. Well, it proved that they were still on fire when they played Wacona a week ago Monday as they knocked off Wacona 3-0. The unbeaten season does continue, and Maddie Lamatanian is one of the reasons why. She had 11 kills and 8 aces in the victory. Emily Young had 5 kills, 2 aces, and 1 block. Taylor Green had 23 assists, also had an ace. Abby Holloway ended up with 5 kills and 2 aces. And Olivia Stafford, she played well defensively for Turners. Well, Frontier, that is going to be the big battle that'll be coming up this week. The game of the week is going to be Frontier and Turner's girls volleyball as they will be going for who will be #1 in the league. Hey, this could be one of those years where Frontier could get knocked off. This should be a good one. Well, they knocked off South Hadley as Jillian Apanel had herself a great Monday. She ended up putting down 16 kills and 2 aces as Frontier beat South Hadley 3-0. Lily Evans, she ended up with 5 kills and 4 aces. Eve Dugan ended up with 5 aces and 2 kills. Sydney Scanlon ended up with 22 assists. And Brooke Davis ended up with 8 digs in her spot for Frontier. Greenfield picked up a win in girls volleyball over Mahar a week ago Monday. Final score was 3-0. Kelsey Richardson had a big game from the service station, ended up with 12 aces to go along with 6 kills as she led her team. Also, Rachel Dodge ended up with 7 aces and 4 assists. Destiny Sosa ended up with 10 aces, 2 kills in the win. Well, we want to let you know that there was a boys golf match that ended up happening also a week ago Monday, and that was where Pioneer took on Greenfield. Final score was Pioneer 18, Greenfield 6. Now, Jalen McGraw, he was the low medalist for his team. He ended up with a 44. He also earned 4 points for his team. Braden Thayer ended up with a 46. Also, Ethan Mothie ended up with a 48. Mike Stennons ended up with a 49 for the Panthers. We want to let you know that Greenfield's Dylan Archer ended up with a 43, as well as Matt Lavoine with a 48, Hugh Syhowski with a 55. They had the points for Greenfield in the loss. Well, we get to Tuesday of last week, and we want to let you know that Emmy Savoy Shirley did have a career milestone on Tuesday. That's right, 4 goals. How sweet is that? That is a big deal for her team as she was able to help out her team so much. You know, the one thing that we could say about her is that she has just been able to help her team and dominate each and every week. Well, on Wednesday in boys golf, it was a successful day over at the Country Club of Greenfield for Dylan Archer. That's right, Archer finished with a 37, picked up 3 points to give Greenfield a nice win as they knocked off their rival Turner's Falls. Final score was 13.5 to 10.5. Matt Lavoine ended up with a 42 to earn 3.5 points. Also, Johnny Marhefka ended up with a 50. They each scored 3 points, and Hugh Syhowski ended up getting 4 points for his team with a 48. Joey Mosca ended up with the low for Turner's Falls. He had a 41. Well, in boys golf, also last Wednesday, it was Pioneer knocking off Hopkins Academy 17.5 to 6.5. A strong outing by Jalen McGraw. He was the medalist with a 42. Also, Ethan Mothie and Ben Werner, they also picked up 44s. Braden Thayer with a 46. Also, Cam Curtis with a 61. All came out with wins for Pioneer. Well, there was also a great match that was between two teams. It was Mohawk and St. Mary's in a golf match last Wednesday. Oliver Johnson ended up with a 52. Logan Moore with a 54. Douglas Wilcox with a 58. Gage Patno with a 66. They all scored points for Mohawk. Final score was 12-12. 12-12 draw between St. Mary's and Mohawk. Well, in boys soccer, a week ago on Wednesday, it was Pioneer and Smith Academy. I can tell you that the final score was 0-0. Ryan Potter had 9 saves for Pioneer in the tie in Hatfield. Well, there was also a boys soccer game between the Franklin County Tech and PVCICS as David Klempner scored 2 goals for the Franklin County Tech School in that win. Final score was 3-0. Sam LaSure, he ended up finding the back of the net for the Franklin County Tech. And by the way, Nick Martin, he ended up with 6 saves in the win for the Tech School. Well, it ended up being Smith Voke over Mohawk in a battle of soccer, and the final score was 7-0. It was all Smith Voke on that game a week ago Wednesday. In girls volleyball, we want to let you know that Frontier continued their winning ways as they knocked off Chicopee Comp. Final score was 3-0. Jillian Apenal, she ended up smashing 19 kills as Frontier rolled to a 3-0 win over Chicopee Comp in Chicopee on Wednesday. By the way, Sydney Scanlon ended up with 31 assists. That is a solid day. How about the 3 aces, the 6 digs to go with it? Eve Dugan ended up with 8 aces, also 4 kills. Lilia Evans ended up putting down 5 kills and 3 aces, and Brooke Davis ended up with 22 digs in the win for Frontier. Well, East Hampton and Greenfield, they went at it in girls volleyball. Final score was East Hampton 3, Greenfield 0. East Hampton definitely came to play in this one. By the way, I want you to know that Charisma Santana for Greenfield had 7 kills, 4 aces, and 4 digs. Kelsey Richardson had 4 kills, 5 aces, and 6 digs, while Jenna Keith ended up with 2 aces, 4 assists, and 7 digs in the loss for Greenfield. Well, the Franklin County Tech girls ended up getting beat in a match that they ended up having against Paulo Freire. Final was 3-0. And a lady by the name of Lindley Rolland. Well, Lindley ended up with 4 digs. Leah Chapman ended up with 5 digs. By the way, Franklin County Tech ended up, unfortunately, losing this one against a very good volleyball team. Once again, 3-0. Girls field hockey last week. Back on Wednesday, the Franklin County Tech Eagles, the girls are officially in the tournament. Congratulations goes out to them as the Franklin County Tech girls picked up a 3-1 victory over Holyoke. The Franklin County Tech picked up that 3-1 win to be able to give them an opportunity to move to 8-0-3 on the year, and that guaranteed them a trip to the playoffs. Lily Ross scored off an assist from her sister Lauren Ross, followed by Lauren Ross's goal off an assist from her sister Lily Ross. Well, that is called working together. Caitlin Trudeau, well, she closed out the scoring for the Eagles, while Madison Markwell made 5 saves in the net for the Tech in that win. Well, Pioneer, the girls of Pioneer picked up an 8-0 win over Palmer. Now, here's a team that has started to improve on their season. This is a great sign for the Pioneer girls field hockey program. And yes, their first-year coach, Carrie Baird. Carrie has done a very good job with this team this year. Riley Thayer scored 2 goals and an assist. Yep, a couple of goals were a big help on how they were able to walk away with this victory. Also, we want you to know that Lauren Kalinowski, she ended up with a goal and 2 assists. Avery Sargent, Kelsey Sargent, as well as Layla Goulston, as well as Laura Collar and Sophia Walker, all found the net for Pioneer. And by the way, we want you to know that that was a big win for them as they're starting to make some headway here in the second half of the season. Well, it was Southwick with a 6-1 win over Turner's Falls back on Wednesday of last week. Southwick, with that victory, is getting closer and closer to making tournament. Turner's having a tough time, but Brooke Thayer ended up getting the lone goal for Turner's Falls off an assist from Avery Tessa. Well, it was a great match a really good game it was between Mohawk and Westfield in girls field hockey. Final score was 1-1 in a very defensive effort from both teams. Cordell Kendall, she ended up with 24 saves for Mohawk. Maya LaSure, well, she was the one that scored the lone goal off an assist from Lily Jenks. They did that in the first quarter, but once again, Mohawk, Westfield, 1-1 tie. In cross country, last Wednesday, it was Mohawk with a win over Smith Vocational, 19-37. Yep, want to make sure you know that it's just like golf, the low score wins, okay? So this was 19-37, Mohawk with the win over Smith Voc. Well, the Warrior boys, they've just been able to do so well. And you know who's really been able to get it done this year? The #1 runner in Franklin County, and that is Dennis Simmons. Took first once again. Sean O'Day took second. Also, Vincent Gauthier took third. Emmett Johnson with fourth. Yep, the first 4 spots were all taken by those Mohawk runners. Well, we want you to know that a lack of girls from the Smith Vocational team meant that the girls had to run with the boys. That's right, the boys and girls ran together. And guess what? Ellie Pinkham took the top spot for the girls. She finished 9th overall. That's right, folks. She finished 9th overall. Well, in girls soccer, it was Hopkins Academy with a 3-0 win on Wednesday over Pioneer. As we move to Thursday, in girls soccer, it was the Frontier girls taking on Sabas. A pair of first-half goals that occurred 1 minute apart lifted Frontier past Sabas. Once again, that was 2-1. Very close game on Thursday. Kylie LaFord, well, she ended up scoring for Frontier in the 25th minute off an assist from Hannah Mackin. Then Mackin scored one of her own in the 26th minute, and that was off of an assist from Michaela Santos. We want you to know that Katie Wells Robinson made 4 saves in the win for Frontier. Well, it was Smith Academy with a 6-0 win in girls soccer over the Franklin County Tech girls. As the Franklin County Tech girls still struggle this year, they did pick up their first victory last week against Duggan, but they lost this one to Smith Academy 6-0. Emily Merritt ended up with 13 saves for the Tech school. In boys soccer, it was Hopkins and Greenfield. Hopkins Academy walked away with a 6-1 win. By the way, Theo Pop ended up scoring the only goal for Greenfield in the first half. That was off an assist from Jackson Campbell. By the way, Daniel Penichetti's had a great year in the net for Greenfield so far this year, and Daniel ended up with 11 saves in the loss. Well, we're sliding all the way to Friday here on the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. Yes, we are. And this ended up being a great game. It really was a fun one. And I must say, a field hockey game between the Franklin County Tech girls and Pioneer. That's right. Final score was 1-1. What a great draw that was. By the way, Kelsey Sargent ended up with a nice goal, 6 minutes and 5 seconds remaining in regulation to secure that tie with a very good Tech school team. Now, of course, we want you to know that the Tech girls still haven't lost yet this year. Their record is now 8-0-4. Well, the one thing that the Tech girls did do is that they had an opportunity to be able to get a goal that was very important for them, and they did it as they were able to get a goal from Lily Ross as she hit the net with 8:30 to go in the fourth quarter, and the opportunity for them to tie. Kelly Baird made 3 saves in the net for Pioneer. Well, Agawam took on the Frontier girls, and let me tell you, turned out to be a very big win for Agawam, a win that they needed over a very good Frontier team. Emily DeMeo, she ended up with a third quarter tally, and that way she was able to get her team on the board, but it wasn't enough as Agawam scored 2. Emma Clancy, she assisted on DeMeo's goal. By the way, we want you to know that Frontier's goalie, and that is Ella Flanders, she ended up with 10 saves in the loss. Southwick picked up a big win over Mohawk. Final score was 1-0. I will tell you that Cordell Kendall ended up with 8 saves in the net for Mohawk on Friday. Girls volleyball, it was Frontier. They ended up picking up a huge win over Amherst 3-0 in the battle of Eastern League heavyweights. Jillian Apanel's 10 kills propelled Frontier to a 3-0 sweep in Amherst. Also, Lila Evans came through with 8 kills for Frontier, and Eve Dugan ended up with 5 kills. By the way, Sydney Scanlon, she had a great day. How about 20 assists? She had a solid day for them. And the defense was pretty darn good, too, for Apanel, as she had 10 digs. Evans and Apanel also had a couple of aces, and Dugan amassed 3 blocks in that win. Now, what do they have coming up this week? We're going to talk about the big showcase game, the game of the week, that is going to be big in Franklin County sports. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Well, the Franklin County Tech girls picked up a big win in volleyball over Greenfield 3-0 as Faith Smith ended up putting down 4 kills to go with an ace and a block as the Franklin County Tech beat Greenfield 3-0. By the way, Renee Reed, she totaled 9 digs, 3 assists, and 2 aces in the victory. Her teammate also did very well, too, and that is Cordelia Guerin. She ended up with 2 aces, 4 digs, and 1 kill. Maria LaBelle ended up with a couple of kills as key contributors. Greenfield's Kelsey Richardson ended up with 12 kills, 6 digs, and 3 aces. Mackenzie Goncalves ended up with 4 kills, 3 aces. Addie Rakovitz ended up with 5 kills, 4 aces. Strong night for those ladies from Greenfield. Well, we can tell you that the Turners Falls girls continued their winning way on Friday, too, in girls volleyball as they knocked off Mahar easy. Final was 3-0. Taylor Green powered the ladies of the Thunder over there in Turners with 8 aces to go with 1 kill and 1 assist. Emily Young ends up with 3 aces, 2 kills, and 4 assists. Also, Jill Reynolds gets in the action. She ended up with 3 aces and 1 kill to help Turners Falls to victory. Also, we want to let folks know that there was a match between Wacona and Mohawk in girls volleyball. Yeah, Ellie Patnode, she put together a strong night for the Warriors. She ended up with 7 digs, also 5 kills and 4 aces to pace the Warriors. Also, Palmer King ended up with 3 aces, 4 assists, and 3 kills. Alex Lilly, she ended up with 6 digs. Octavia Crawford ended up with 4 assists and 3 kills. And Grace Davenport had 2 digs in the cause for Mohawk. Here's the thing, before we move on with our show. Game of the week. It's going to be in volleyball, and it's coming up on Wednesday night. Starts at 6 o'clock at Frontier Regional High School. It'll be the Frontier girls versus the Turners girls. You want to talk about a huge implication for tournament and local status. This is going to be a biggie. You want to talk about a packed house? I recommend you get there early if you want to be able to be a part of the festivities. Can't wait for Wednesday night, 6 o'clock at Frontier. I will be on hand to be able to watch this special game of the week. Also, we want to let you know that in boys soccer, a 6-goal second half really propelled this excellent Frontier boys soccer team, one of the best in the state right now. They had an easy, convincing win over Mount Everett of the Berkshires. Final score was 8-0. Leading 2-0 at halftime, thanks to goals from Carm Bright, they were able to get it done. Tyler Dubriel, Dylan Martin, also guys who were able to score included Dante Reggiano, Fernando Saravia, and Aiden Valderrama. They all found the back of the net. And by the way, Brady Birch had a couple of assists in the offensive attack for Frontier with the easy 8-0 win. Well, on Friday, it was Greenfield and Pioneer. Talk about a really good game of defense in boys soccer. Final was 0-0. 2 Franklin County foes that know each other pretty well ended up ending in a 0-0 draw. And by the way, the defense in this one was excellent on both sides. Pathfinder, they are the team. They're doing a shared program right now with Palmer. And between these two schools, they have got a powerhouse team. And they knocked off Franklin County Tech. Final score on Friday was 8-1. Sam LaSure ended up scoring at the 11th minute. That was the only tally for the Tech school in that game. In girls soccer on Friday, Pope Francis picked up a 4-0 win over Greenfield. The defense of Caitlin Lavoine, also Carly Blanchard, Elizabeth Trudeau, Sam Santos. They played very well in front of their goalie, Michaela Valente. 36 saves against the powerhouse team of Western Mass in Pope Francis, but they came up short 4-0. But guess what? Their coach had something nice to say. Coach Tina Riddell said that my defense really played well. Think about it. Our goalie had 36 saves, and we only lost 4-0. Really good point right there by Tina Riddell. Well, in boys golf, it was the Franklin County Tech picking up an 18.5 to 5.5 win on Friday. Yep, boys golf match where Anthony Zager ended up being the match medalist. He ended up with a 38. And yes, the Tech school picked up that big win, 18.5 to 5.5 over East Hampton. Brady Buska had a 41, Aiden Bailey with a 45, Alex Sulda with a 48, Rob Wood with a 50, and we also had Dylan Young shooting a 60 for the Tech school in this win. And by the way, they've only lost one match this year against a very good Ware team. Well, Hopkins and Turners, they ended up 12-12. That's right, they ended up 12-12 in their golf match on Friday. Well, we move into high school football as we start winding down the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report for you. It's amazing on how some weeks we have so many things going on, and then other weeks we have a little bit of a lull. But let's talk a little bit about high school football, because we normally don't get a chance to do that, but we will be able to do that today. Well, in boys football, it was Hoosick Valley with a 14-0 win over Frontier. Yep, neither team was able to move the ball consistently at all on the ground. You know, a few chunks here and a few chunks there, but Hoosick Valley scored those 2 touchdowns and picked up the 14-0 win over Frontier. That was on Saturday afternoon. The Hurricanes' key was to be able to stop Josh Samaski. Well, they did a good job because they literally only held them to 67 yards total on the day and held the whole Red Hawks team to only 99 yards of total offense. And the defense also did an amazing job being able to literally stuff the run, which is exactly what they were hoping that they could do. Next up for Frontier, well, they're going to take on Commerce. That'll be Friday night. It's going to be a late night game, 8 o'clock, and that game will be played in Springfield. Well, there was a high school game between a team that everyone has been following closely, and that is the Greenfield Green Wave. You know, they were going undefeated against a team from Palmer who is considered one of the top teams in Western Massachusetts. Well, guess what? It was all Palmer. Final score was 27-0. The Greenfield Green Wave boys had a really tough time against Palmer. The problem was they had lots of turnovers. They did not key on certain players very well. And here's the biggest part right here. Every time they had a good drive, penalties ended up putting them in the hole. That's a huge problem. When you're moving the ball really well and you get a penalty and then all of a sudden it takes you back 10 yards, or a personal foul takes you back 15 yards because you're frustrated. That was a huge problem with the Green Wave this past week. They have had a phenomenal season so far, but this one didn't taste so good as they got beat by Palmer 27-0. Well, I'm going to tell you a team that's really tough, and this is the team that beat Palmer, and they pretty much have been beating everybody, and that is Ware. Ware football has always been very good for many, many years. And the final score of Ware's game this past week was 36-6 as they took on the Franklin County Tech School. Chad Adams, he was the lone guy to score a touchdown in the loss for the Franklin County Tech. Next up for the Franklin County Tech, look out, folks. It's going to be a fun one. Friday night football on a beautiful Friday night, great weather, Franklin County Tech at Greenfield. This is a big opportunity for the Wave to be able to secure a nice berth in the playoffs. They got to beat the Franklin County Tech. The Tech school could play spoiler, and that would be such a devastating situation for Greenfield, because if they lost to the Tech this week, that means they would have lost 2 games in a row. You know, I want to let you know that here on the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report, we give you opportunities to be able to hear about all these kids and their accomplishments that they have been able to do. You know, the one thing we didn't get a chance to do last week is to be able to really recognize a girl for some of the wonderful things that she did because of our time constraints. But I want to be able to get it in this week. Emma Savoy has had an amazing year for the Greenfield girls soccer team. But she's had an amazing career as well. 100 career points. You know, that's very hard to do. Some of these kids, sometimes they don't even get to varsity level until sometimes 10th grade. But Emma's had a phenomenal career, and I will tell you that she has been able to be a force to be reckoned with this year. Her and another one of her teammates, Azamina Sesajanin, have been the 2 big scorers for Greenfield. They've had a very up and down year this year, but she was finally able to solidify 100 career points in girls soccer. So a big congratulations goes out to Emma Savoy of Greenfield. Well, we want to let you know that here on the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report, we also want folks to know that they have a new playoff system, and we want folks to hear how that works. Very important for you to hear how this works. We're in a state tournament now. It's a state format. 32 teams from each division throughout the state. So think about this. If a team from Western Mass ends up being a 32 seed, they got to travel to the number 1 seed. Okay? The number 3 seed would be traveling to the number 29 seed, the number 30 seed. So it's really, really different on how it's set up this year. And people are wondering, is there an opportunity for having a Western Mass tournament? Only if they want to run their own. It's not run by the MIAA anymore. It's now a statewide tournament. And here's what people have to remember. Think about this. Your number 1 seeded team could literally be in Boston, and you live in the Berkshires. You will have to drive from, say, Drury all the way to Boston to play 1 game against a top-seeded team, and you could be one of the low-seeded teams, which means that there's going to be a lot of extra travel that is going to be put on all of these kids this year because of this new format, which, by the way, I think it's terrible for the kids. I think it's not good, especially here in Western Massachusetts. Very hard to keep up with those teams that we have to be able to go up against in the other parts of the state. Even though they're in the same division, it always seems to be a little bit of a lopsided situation between teams out here and teams down in the Worcester and Boston area. And the thing that drives me crazy is the way they have it set up. It's not really interlocked to be fair. And that's why I've had an issue with this new rule. Want to say thank you for joining us for the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. Thank you to Franklin First Federal Credit Union. Yes, if you're a member, you're getting a good quality service right there at franklinfirst.org. Also by Manny's TV and Appliance, River Street in Greenfield, Route 9 in Hadley. Yep, and our friend Lisa Alber of Alber Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield at alberhearing.com. Have a wonderful day. Take care of yourself and each other.